How do we actively create a happy life? It's a timeless question, right? Every single one of us fundamentally strives for it. Yet for so many, it just feels like this elusive moving target. Well, today, we're diving into an explainer on a profound ancient philosophy that takes this exact question and breaks it down. We're going to unlock some really practical answers by applying this structured ancient wisdom directly to our modern chaotic routines. Look, we all fundamentally desire happiness and comfort, but ancient wisdom hits us with a pretty tough truth. Our own actions and our karma are often the very root of our suffering. Think of the classic symbol of the lotus flower. It literally rises above the murky, dirty mud of daily struggles to find that spiritual peace. But how do we actually pull that off? The source text tells us that karma, meaning the physical, verbal, and mental actions we take every single day, creates this massive, ongoing chain reaction. So if we're constantly experiencing suffering, well, we are often the ones who planted those exact seeds. And that raises a really powerful question. If we all desperately want peace, why on earth do our own behaviors and mindsets constantly stand in the way of achieving it? Why do we self-sabotage? The text suggests that to find the answer, we have to stop looking at the external world and start looking squarely at ourselves. Part 1. Shifting your internal mindset. Okay, so the very first step requires us to practice some deep, profound gratitude for the people right around us, our parents, our spouses. The text reminds us that everything is cause and effect. I mean, without our families, we literally wouldn't even have the foundation we're standing on today. We also have to accept that our current situation is inextricably linked to past karma. Even while we're hustling to improve our lives, we have to accept where we currently are without all that bitter resentment. And finally, you have to choose optimism. If you look at a glass and see it as half full instead of half empty, you fundamentally change your physiological and psychological experience of reality. It's a game changer. Part 2. Navigating social comparisons. We really need to talk about this one. Endless comparisons regarding material wealth bring absolutely nothing but misery. A comparing mindset traps us in this endless cycle of looking at who has the bigger house, the newer smartphone, the flashier clothes. It's a game you are never going to win. Conversely, the text outlines that true peace comes from strictly focusing on fulfilling your own unique duties. So, if you're a student, pour your energy into learning. If you're a parent, focus completely on your kids. You just have to drop the jealousy and stay in your own lane. Part 3. Improving interpersonal relationships. Consider this wildly pragmatic quote directly from the philosophical source. 10 parts of life usually contain 8 or 9 disappointments. Now, I know that sounds super pessimistic at first, but honestly, it is deeply liberating. By expecting friction, we actually normalize hardship. We stop agonizing every single time things don't go perfectly our way. We are encouraged to embrace a large, accommodating heart, much like the laughing, big-bellied Maitreya Buddha, to truly forgive others and just let go of those petty grievances. And this brings us to the core rules of interpersonal harmony. Look, we have to accept that we simply cannot change other people's ingrained habits. Everyone has entirely different backgrounds, upbringings, and quirks. Trying to force them into our exact mold is just going to cause you pain. Harmony is only achieved by remaining humble and doing the hard work to change ourselves first. The source text uses a brilliant metaphor here, noting that tall trees fall easily. Arrogance makes us a massive target for the storms of life, whereas humility keeps us grounded and safe. Part 4. Actions and universal harmony. Now let's zoom out a bit. To maintain universal harmony, the source text stresses that we must avoid harming animals. It advocates for immense compassion, like refraining from eating meat and making sure we aren't disrupting their families, all to prevent the creation of negative karma. The underlying principle is profound. If we violently take the lives of other creatures, we are essentially sowing seeds of violence that will eventually return right back to us. We literally have to grant peace to the world if we expect to get peace in return. Part 5. The illusion of perception. Okay, you have to hear this incredible story from the text. It's about the legendary sage Confucius and his disciple Yanhui. Confucius and his students were going through a really brutal period with very limited food. Yanhui was tasked with cooking the daily rice. Well, another student happened to walk by the kitchen and witnessed Yanhui appearing to disrespectfully steal food right from the pot. He was shoveling rice into his mouth before the meal was even served to his esteemed teacher. So, the student immediately reported this, but here is the crazy twist that revealed a completely different reality. While Yanhui was cooking, a piece of dirt had fallen from the ceiling straight into the pot, deeply soiling a clump of rice. Knowing they absolutely couldn't afford to waste a single grain, but also refusing to let his peers or his teacher eat dirty food, Yanhui was actually sacrificing himself by eating the soiled piece. This realization led Confucius to a profound conclusion. He said, "We shouldn't even trust our own eyes." That is a massive lesson. It proves that things are very rarely exactly as they seem. We jump to conclusions so fast, don't we? But we must navigate life with immense optimism and open-mindedness, always giving people the benefit of the doubt, because our own perception is frequently just an illusion. Part 6. True Happiness Reimagined. So, what does this all mean for us? Well, there is an ultimate dichotomy between worldly joy and true peace. Unlike fleeting worldly joy, which depends entirely on sensory desires, external validation, and material gains, true happiness, or nirvana, is fundamentally different. It is defined as the absolute end of suffering and a return to our original, pure spiritual source. It's an unshakable inner peace that isn't dependent on having a perfect house, a perfect job, or even perfect relationships. It's about transcending those needs altogether. As you reflect on all this wisdom today, I want you to really consider this. What single behavior, what judgment, or what worldly attachment can you release right now to step closer to lasting inner peace? Think about the heavy baggage you carry. Maybe it's a grudge, a comparison, a relentless desire for control. Letting go of just one of those things today is your very first step toward creating a truly happy life. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it brought you some real clarity and peace.